We're going to be recording this session, so if you don't want to have your video recorded, then you can switch off your camera, but if you don't mind, then please go ahead and leave it on. And we can leave all of our microphones off unless we're asking a question, which there will be some time for later. So we'll get started officially here. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. I'm Ilana Gotts from EURICSE. I'm happy to welcome you here on behalf of the ICA and ICETT, the International Cooperative Entrepreneurship think tank of the ICA, and EURICSE. We have been partnering on the World Cooperative Monitor for 13 years now, and are super happy to be having this webinar to talk about the latest special edition for International Year of Cooperatives 2025. It's really uplifting to see all of you, some new faces, some older friendly faces that we've been in touch with over the years. Nice to have this moment to reflect together and think about not just the economic impact, but the social and broader community impact that cooperatives have, especially in these turbulent times that we're all facing. So really nice to be here with you, and thank you to all of our speakers. Thank you to the ICA and ICETT for organizing this. I will turn the floor over to Jeroen right away for a welcome before introducing the rest of our speakers for today. So please, Jeroen, go ahead.
Thank you, Ilana, for these warm, welcoming words. And hello, everyone, all cooperators from all angles of the world in this very special webinar in relation to, as you said, indeed, the 13th edition of the World Cooperative Monitor. And as already indicated by Ilana, it's not a regular edition, it's a special edition because it's been in the heart of our United Nations International Year of Cooperatives 2025 that we've launched it. And we launched it also with some hard copies. And I'm very pleased that we are still having old style, some hard copies around. I'm showing you the version, the summary version. And it's so full of rich data that I just can be only very thankful for EURICSE, yourself in particular, Ilana, and also Gianluca, for having compiled a highly interesting document. And there's so much that we can highlight on. And I would like just to focus on one component only. And I know I'm not doing sufficient justice to it all, but there is this very scheme that gives me so much encouragement. This is the graph showing how the 300 most important cooperatives have moved their space in the global economy since 2017 from 1.9 trillion US dollars until 2.7 trillion dollars in just 6 years of time, which is a huge growth. It is close to a 50% growth of these larger cooperatives. And they are expressing also the state of affairs of all the other cooperatives in the world. So this document shows that there is significant space for cooperatives and mutuals to grow in the market space. And that fits to the larger vision of our movement. I will come to that. But I cannot just move away from this beautiful document by also rendering a huge thanks to Co-op News, in particular Rebecca Harvey, who is in this call, because what makes this a very special edition is not only the International Year, but also in-depth interviews with CEOs, chief executive officers of those 300 largest cooperatives, a subset of them. and she did a wonderful set of interviews. I really recommend you to read all these pages with the likes of Anne-Laure Degris, with Georgina Diaz, with Mateus Kfouri Marino, with Dr. Jayan Mehta, with Shireen Curry-Hack, all the CEOs that bring so much inspiration to the movement are giving word to the numbers and the analytics that has been done by EURICSE. In this combination, I truly believe we have a very special edition. That is also the bridge, Ilana, and I will keep it short, to the second message I have, because in Doha, during the second World Social Summit organized by the United Nations, by the way, the first one was in 1995. We were just taking stock of the end of history, and we all feel in these disturbing times that we have reached the end of history. We're entering in a new big story. We will see where it goes, and cooperatives and mutuals can play a pivotal role in that. So during that very launch of our monitor, we also launched this document, a contract for a new global economy. So the leaders that are interviewed in this document are now forming a network of leaders. We call it CM50, in order to build our own World Cooperative Economic Forum, our antidote to Davos, if I may say. And we are getting our first summit together in end of June by bringing 50 CEOs together from all corners, quite a few of them already participating in this very webinar. So CM50 laid down a new global economy format, a manifesto with 5 concrete pledges on restoring ecosystems that have been disturbed by disasters and warfare, and building communities, about equity to finance with co-op exchange, about building our own digital ecosystem, about building global healthy food systems, and also the new generation of leaders through purposeful leadership journeys. That document is then part of this larger document, which is to practice, to promote, and to protect our 5 years new strategy as an international cooperative alliance. Because be aware, we practice in the economy, which is our omega, to ensure that we enlarge the economy of co-ops and mutuals in the world, so well already articulated in the World Cooperative Monitor. But we also want to promote it through advocacy, by lawmaking, by good communications, but we also want to protect it through our statement of cooperative identity. So the new strategy of the ICA embeds CM50, and CM50 embeds the World Cooperative Monitor. So those 3 documents, they're sort of interconnected, and I had the pleasure and the pride to be able to launch them together with the authors of this very edition of the World Cooperative Monitor. And then I invite all of you, Ilana and the rest, to take a deep read of all the 3, because I truly believe they are quite comprehensive and coherent to each other. So thank you, wishing you a great webinar ahead.
Thank you so much, Jeroen. Really a pleasure to be here and hear about all of those documents. And we're joined also by Thomas Blondil, who will be speaking later on, the chair of ICETT. So a big thank you also to ICETT for the support. So today's webinar is going to, as we mentioned, present the 2025 edition of the World Cooperative Monitor. We're going to hear from Gianluca Salvatori from EURICSE and Rebecca Harvey from Co-op News about the core content of this year's edition. And then we're going to have a chance to hear from leaders of 4 large cooperatives from around the world to really take a deeper dive into the impact that these cooperatives have on their local communities, countries, and the broader global cooperative movement. And really try to think together about how do we show not only our economic impact as a cooperative movement, but also our social and environmental impact as well. So thank you so much to all of our speakers who I'll be introducing one by one as we go through. But we have IFFCO here, we have Cooperative Group, we have the Cooperative Bank of Kenya, and we have Kumeva. So thank you so much to all of you. It's my pleasure now to turn the microphone over to Gianluca Salvatori, who will present some of the key findings in this year's World Cooperative Monitor.
Thank you. Thank you, Ilana. Thank you, Jeroen. It's a great honor to be here with you today. And let's start with a little bit of history. The World Cooperative Monitor was first established in 2012 as the global cooperative movement gathered in New York to celebrate the first International Year of Cooperatives. And the most recent version, as was said by Jeroen, was presented in Doha last year, again during the International Year of Cooperatives. So between these two events, separated by 13 years, ICA and EURICSE continued to update the list of 300 largest cooperatives in the world, accompanying each annual version with in-depth analysis and focus points. On both occasions, a crucial point needed to be made clear. Cooperation is not confined to the local level and is not an alternative to scale. You see, the cooperative movement is often recognized for its deep roots in local communities, and rightly so. Cooperatives are born from real needs. They respond to real challenges in people's daily life. Everyone familiar with cooperation understands this. But to serve billions of members, farmers, workers, consumers, size matters. And cooperatives have shown that they can grow, they can innovate, they can compete globally without losing their identity, without sacrificing democratic control, and without abandoning their social mission. So this is the cooperative challenge, to prove that enterprise can be large and still put people first. And this was the mission of the monitor since the beginning. When the first monitor in 2012 was launched, the world was emerging from a deep economic crisis, as you can remember. Financial markets had shaken societies and shaken also the faith in the institutions. Faced with instability and with austerity policies that were cutting deeply into social systems, the United Nations chose to shine a light on a different model of development. A model rooted in enterprises that operate in the market, yet are not governed by the logic of the market alone. Enterprises for which economic results serve a broader purpose, the well-being of people and the strengthening of communities. So what I want to underline is that in 2012, the United Nations chose that moment to say clearly that there is another way to build prosperity, a way rooted in dignity, in democracy, and in the idea that enterprise exists to serve people, not the other way around. And that model was and remains cooperation. So to mark the opening of that momentous year, the ICA launched the World Cooperative Monitor to demonstrate that cooperatives are not only local actors, but also enterprises capable of scale, of competitiveness, and long-term sustainability. So the monitor was conceived to show that cooperatives can play in the same league as the world's largest corporations. So today we meet once again in a time of profound uncertainty. We know that societies are anxious, inequalities are widening, trust in institutions is being tested, and in times of crisis, cooperation becomes essential. The 2025 edition of the Monitor carries a message of particular significance. I want to share now the screen to show you some slides. Please let me know if you can see the slides. Yes, okay. So, as was already said, well, first of all, the Monitor is a document that can be downloaded by the website that you can see here in the slide. The Monitor has been created according to an initiative by ICA and EURICSE with the support of other partners and many members of our association. So I was saying that the message of particular significance of the Monitor in 2025 can be condensed in the same picture that Gerrand already showed you. So despite global turbulence, the 300 largest cooperatives in the world grew consistently from 2017 to 2023. They proved resilience and stability. And this while many business systems struggled or contracted. The largest cooperatives remained resilient, stable, and growth-oriented. They proved that enterprises governed by people and not by speculative capital can be both powerful and fair. And this is the natural result of a model rooted in the member engagement, in a long-term planning, in a shared responsibility. Is the natural result of organizations designed not to exploit temporary opportunities, but to serve generations on the long term. Is the strength that comes from being accountable to people, farmers, workers, consumers, communities, and so on. The Monitor presents its analysis in, well, this is the total turnover of the 300 largest cooperatives. You can see that the organizations are spread across different sizes. The Monitor presents the analysis in two perspectives. One is a ranking based on absolute turnover, you see here, and the other one is the ranking adjusted for purchasing power parity. This dual lens is essential. It reminds us that economic scale must be understood within national and local contexts. The Monitor also confirms that large cooperatives are distributed globally and in different sectors, from credit and insurance to agriculture to consumer services. And you can find in the Monitor details about the different sectors, about the different actors of these rankings. And you can see also the rankings, the single rankings that large cooperatives and the complete list of the 300 cooperatives that are under observation in the Monitor. I don't scroll all the data. You can go into detail by yourself, browsing the publication. And instead, I would like to finally devote my last 2 minutes to some acknowledgement and one final comment. So the acknowledgements. I would like really to express a sincere gratitude to the ICA, to ICETT and its members, and to all colleagues who continue to support and enrich the Monitor with their insight, their dedication. And I also wish to extend a special thanks to partners like Co-op News and especially Rebecca, who we follow, who contributed to this year's interview section. But now the final comment. For many years, for 13 years, we rightly focused on proving scale. But today we should ask also a different question. And the question is, what difference do cooperatives make? In other terms, I believe that beyond size, it's time to measure other dimensions. For instance, quality of work and not only quantity of work, or the level of cohesion and social capital in our communities, or the effectiveness of our environmental responsibility, or more, the democratic participation and long-term inclusion. We all know that cooperatives create value that goes beyond financial results, but we are not enough effective in showing this. And if cooperatives do not equip themselves to demonstrate those non-financial aspects, they end up undermining their very nature. Therefore, the future of the monitor must evolve, must not only capture the scale and the competitiveness, but also the impact, the social and the environmental impact. We must measure not only how large cooperatives are, but how transformative they are. As companies, I mean ordinary companies, capital-based companies worldwide, increasingly claim social value, it is essential that cooperatives, whose purpose has always been social, lead in defining and applying rigorous comparable impact indicators. Some of the large cooperatives mentioned in the monitor are already doing so. But we need something more. We need a shared framework. We need a global project to be incorporated into the monitor. An ambitious joint project supported by a large number of major cooperatives is needed. And without waiting for the next International Year of Cooperatives. Also, sadly, because in the current international context, it will unfortunately be increasingly difficult to count on the initiative of the United Nations. We must be honest on that. So finally, our aim must be to produce and make available to everyone in the cooperative system and to those interested in working with it, high quality data that represent as accurately as possible the various dimensions of the cooperative identity. And I think that this ambitious project needed must see ICA at the center. ICA must lead this effort globally. EURICSE is already ready to support. We have shown that cooperatives grow. Now we must show how they strengthen social bonds, how they build a future where prosperity serves people. We have to prove through data and action that cooperation not only survives crisis, but it helps societies overcome crisis. And I think it's a great challenge for our next endeavor, common endeavor. Thank you. Thank you for your attention. Ilana, it's to you. Thanks.
Thank you, Gianluca. Thank you so much. Definitely gives us all quite a lot to think about. And your hopes for the future is a perfect segue to Rebecca Harvey from Co-op News. Rebecca, if you could please tell us a little bit more about the interviews that you conducted and why. Why did we include that in this year's monitor?
Thank you so much, Ilana. Thank you. Can everyone hear me? All good?
Yep.
Brilliant. Okay. So first of all, thank you very much. And thank you, Jeroen, for your kind words at the start. The ICA, EURICSE and ICETT have all been absolutely phenomenal in the work and leadership that they have shown in the monitor over the years. And this special edition is no exception at all. As Ilana introduced me, I'm Rebecca Harvey. I'm the editor of Co-op News. And for those who don't know us, we're a magazine and a news website about and for the global co-op movement. And I put our website in the chat right now. Co-op News has been telling stories, cooperative stories, for over 150 years. We connect, we champion, and we challenge the global cooperative movement. And since the Monitor has began, that has been a vital tool in helping us to tell these stories through data, showing the sheer scale and the strength of our movement. And I say our movement because Co-op News is a multi-stakeholder cooperative itself, and I can see a few of our members on the call today. So hello to everyone who's a member. The numbers in the Monitor are absolutely staggering, but numbers only tell half a story. It's a really, really important half, but in the context of the International Year of Cooperatives and the ambitions to grow the co-op economy, the facts and figures need a little more context to explain how the people-centred economy can make a genuine difference to co-op members, to employees, to the communities we work in, and to the planet we live on. So at the start of 2025, Co-op News was invited to lead a very special project to speak to co-op leaders whose organisations are featured in the Monitor or are members of the CM50 and help tell the stories of cooperative impact beyond the numbers in the Monitor. As a reminder, the CM50 is the Cooperative and Mutuals Leadership Circle, and it's convened by the ICA to expand the co-op and mutuals market share as part of the UN 2030 agenda. So over the summer and in the lead up to the World Social Summit, which took place in Doha in November, I spoke to nearly 20 co-op leaders, asking 5 questions that led to some really, really brilliant conversations. The questions they asked were these. Tell us about your cooperative. How does your co-op make a difference to your members? Why is the CM50 important? What are your hopes for the World Social Summit and beyond? And how can co-ops build a better world? Which was, of course, was the theme for the 2025 International Year and the 2012 IYC too. These conversations only took between 10 and 20 minutes each, and the recorded videos are in the process of being uploaded online. And you could also find them on YouTube and on cm50.coop, and I've put the link to that in the chat as well. But we also wanted to include a snapshot of these conversations in the Monitor. Now, we didn't have time to speak to everyone we wanted to, but I'm looking forward to speaking with more co-op leaders as the CM50 develops. But what we heard in these conversations were stories of cooperatives tackling some of the world's most urgent challenges, from food security and climate resilience to education, access to healthcare, and financial protection. The conversations capture a picture of the co-op difference, as Gianluca said, and a diverse cooperative ecosystem that demonstrates how businesses can be run in a way that is democratic, sustainable, and people-centred, but also be incredibly successful. As Gianluca said, co-op enterprises can be large and still put people first. 2 things can be true at once. And we say this in the executive summary of the Monitor, but it bears repeating here that the common thread of these conversations was that because cooperatives and mutuals exist to serve members of communities rather than external shareholders, they can plan and they can act for the long term by reinvesting surplus in members, infrastructure and communities rather than extracting shareholder return. Now, this isn't news to people on this call, but members shape decisions. Products and services are built around human needs, and time and again, co-ops and mutuals step up in moments of crisis when society needs us most, and we are needed now. The conversations also highlighted the importance of international platforms like the CM50 and like the ICA, platforms that connect cooperatives across borders, that accelerate innovation and technology sharing, and strengthen our collective policy voice. The message was clear. Recognition, enabling regulation, and accelerated scaling are what are essential, and that is exactly what the CM50 is here to deliver. Our world is complicated and it's a scary place right now. But co-ops prove every day that a fairer, more resilient, more inclusive economy is not only possible, but it already exists. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. Absolutely inspiring, and exactly the reason why we're here today, to also hear from some of our distinguished cooperators from around the world. So thank you to both Gianluca and Rebecca for this introduction to the 2025 World Cooperative Monitor. As you can see in the chat, and as Gianluca put on the slides, the full edition is available at monitor.coop, and the full interviews are available on the CM50 website as well. So please spend some time with it, have a look at the data and the interviews. But now we're going to turn to another portion, the second portion of our webinar today, which is where we're going to hear directly from the 4 cooperatives that I mentioned earlier, and really dive into that kind of impact that both Gianluca and Rebecca have been speaking about. So thank you to our speakers for joining us today. It's my pleasure to welcome first IFFCO from India, and we have Tarun Bhargavat, who's going to give us a few words about IFFCO and what it is. I'm sure many of you are familiar with IFFCO, one of the largest cooperatives from around the world based in India. But Tarun will share a little bit more about what IFFCO is today and what it does. And then we'll be joined by Manish Sanghani, who is from the cooperative in Gurahat, member of IFFCO, the Amreli District Cooperative Union from Gurahat. And he will tell us a little bit more about what it means being a part of IFFCO. So over to you, Tarun.
Thank you very much, Ileana. I hope my sound is clear. All right. Thank you. So, first of all, as a big thank you to ICETT, a big thank you to EURICSE and all the participants who have joined in this session, this webinar. IFFCO is a multi-state cooperative society based out of India. We are now 58 years old. We are the largest fertilizer cooperative in the world. And as we have traversed the journey since 1967 and what we are here today, we have experienced big challenges in the cooperative sphere, starting from the membership issues, starting from the capital, starting from the sustainable development. But yes, I'm very happy to share that with the friends all across the globe. We have been able to do this journey in a very nice and successful way. And IFFCO was set up in 1967 by a project of USA, NCBA, CLUSA, and Government of India. And today, as we will show in our presentation, I have with me Mr. Manish Sanghani, who is the chairman of Amreli Cooperative Union from Gujarat. And he's a very young cooperator, very dynamic cooperator who is changing the lives and transforming the socio-economic arena of the people in the country across the different breadth from north to south and east to west. So before I hand over to Mr. Sanghani, I'll also like to add that this is a very special occasion as we are launching the special edition of WCM. Thank you, Elena. Over to Manish and over to the presentation we are going to show. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone. Presentation. Hi everyone. I am Manish Sanghani from India. IFFCO. IFFCO Revolution Agriculture since 1967. Next page. IFFCO established in 1967 with the support of SCDI and VOCA and NCBA CLUSA in collaboration with the Government of India to make India self-sufficiency in food production through green revolution. Will on by the member cooperative societies. IFFCO operates on a farm-centered approach of the farmers by the farmers and for the farmers. Largest producer and marketing of fertilizer in India with association of about 36,000 member societies and approximately 50 million farmers. IFFCO has been ranked as the world #1 cooperative in the 2023 edition of the World Cooperative Monitor based on the ratio of turnover to GDP per capita. Next page. As one of India's largest fertilizer brand, IFFCO exemplifies the strength of the state of the cooperative model in India. From last 24 consecutive years, IFFCO is paying a 20% dividend on paid up share capital to its member societies. IFFCO cooperative 5 major plants in Kalol, Kandla, Phulpur, Aula and Paradip, with 2 origin plants in Oman and Jordan, along with 4 nano fertilizer plants in India. IFFCO has done strategies diversification to its 21st joint venture association. The board of IFFCO has consistently supported the management in promoting sustainability across its manufacturing plant through process optimization, investment in energy efficiency, technology, and conservation of resources to minimize the environment footprints. For our 2 decades, IFFCO has been a proud and active member of the International Cooperative Alliance, being active member in the Forum of Initiate Lead ICA. IFFCO representatives have been associated with ICETT as members since its inception. IFFCO in collaborate with international organizations such as FAO and ICAO, actively work towards the development and advancement of agriculture cooperatives worldwide. During the International Year of Cooperative 2025, IFFCO planned 10 lakh 54,120 trees across India to proudly become a carbon neutral cooperatives. IFFCO through its diversion initiative contribution to the sustainable development goals by promoting aggregate nutrient management via on-farm demonstration and trials, advantage reduction energy through rooftop solar installation and delivering agro-technology interventions through IFFCO Kisan Suvidha Limited. Next. Service to farmer.
Yeah.
समझिए कौन सा पेज?
Yes.
Yes.
You can just skip
Service
this
to
slide.
the farmer community. Cooperative Rural Development Trust to improve the skill of farmers and members on various aspects of agriculture. Organizer training, workshop, and farm demonstration and soil testing. IFFDC, Indian Farmer Constraints Development Cooperative Limited, promote a frustration of wasteland. IFFDC through self-help groups, reps, entertain skill development activities like training, and embroidery, handloom and handicraft, etc. It's IKST, IFFCO Kisan Seva Trust, support communities in times of natural design. Through this trust, IFFCO also private critical medical assistance to small farmers, families, and scholarship to the children of rural and marginal farmers. Product IFFCO fertilizers, water soluble, spring facility fertilizer, agrochemicals, nano fertilizer, biofertilizer, growth promoter, is bioprotection, urban gardening products. Fertilizer general. No.
Mr. Sanghani, sorry for the interruption, but since we're running close to the end of your time, maybe if you want to skip ahead a little bit to the impact part of the presentation, that would be great.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. तरुण जी बोलना है मुझे या क्या है अब?
अब बंद कर दीजिए. All right, Joseph, we can skip.
And we can share these slides later. If it's okay with IFFCO, we can share these slides with the participants after the webinar.
Okay, thank you, Ilana. Thank you very much.
Maybe Mr. Tarun and Manish, if you want to say a few words about the impact.
Yeah, impact, we have been going through the times of very high turbulence, and you see that even the farming community in India is very much affected by the high prices of fertilizers because of the Ukraine and Russia war. Also in the Middle East, the oil is affected, and we see because the commodities for fertilizers are all very expensive. But still, IFFCO has been very successful and instrumental in transforming the lives at the rural level of the rural communities, socially, economically, as well as the challenge of the environmental, the climate change. So IFFCO has been giving 20% dividend to all its members, as has been shown by Mr. Manish Sanghani. We have been providing fertilizers to all our farmers, irrespective of the challenges. We have been changing the lives of the farmers by giving the medical assistance and the educational scholarships to them. We have been developing the women empowerment system in India. We have a women director, especially on the board of IFFCO, and also around 18,000 women working through self-help groups. And lastly, the environment. We have developed a nano fertilizers in India, which have been bringing more efficiency and less of carbon to the soil. We have a Save the Soil campaign. And any queries, if audiences have, they're very much welcome. I will be answering them. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much to both of you. And thank you especially also to Tarun, who was the first chair of the ICETT think tank back when it was started. So it's really nice to have you back with us here today. Thank you very much to both of you. And hopefully we will have a little bit of time for questions at the end. I do see a hand up. Maybe you can put the question in the chat for now so we can move on to the next presentation because we're running a little bit low on time. So I'd now like to invite Mr. Paul Gerrand from the Cooperative Group. He's the Public Affairs and Policy Director of the Cooperative Group in the UK. If you could please join us now and tell us a little bit about your cooperative and the impact that it's having. I don't actually see him. I hope
I can hear
okay.
you.
Hi. Sorry, you weren't on my screen.
It's absolutely fine. You've got more than 200 people on, so there's a lot of faces to see. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak, and good afternoon to fellow cooperators around the world. As Lana said, my name is Paul Gerrand. I'm Campaigns Public Affairs and Policy Director at the Co-op Group in the UK. The Co-op Group has been around since 1844. We trace our roots back to the Rochdale pioneers in Toad Lane. Currently, we are a £12 billion a year cooperative, predominantly in food. So we run 2,500 of our own food stores. We also supply another 5,000 independent stores. We are also a life services business. What does that mean? It means we have a legal services business that's doing extremely well. We have a funeral care business, and we have an insurance business. In addition to that, we also run 40 schools for primary, secondary and tertiary schools across the north of England. We are currently at about 7.2 million members. That has been growing rapidly over the last 3 or 4 years, and we continue to see growth in our membership. I'm conscious of time, Ilana, so I'll try to catch you a little bit of time back if I can. Our aim as the Co-op Group here in the UK is to be a successful cooperative business. All 3 words are important: successful, business, and cooperative. And at our heart, we want to put our members. And for us, therefore, being a successful cooperative business is about providing those members with the products and services that they want, when and where they want it. Now, providing the services and products people need, and we're a consumer cooperative, products and services they need when they want it, well, that's just being a successful business. You'll never be a successful business unless you give people the products and services that they want, and that's what we want to give to our members, what they need when they need it. The cooperative bit, though, is what differentiates us, and I think that differentiation will make us an even more successful cooperative business. And I think that success, that differentiation, it comes out of the impact from us as a cooperative business. And I want to talk a little bit about one element of that co-op difference that you can see in the impact we make in the campaigning that we do. The Co-op Group in the UK has always been an organisation that has campaigned on public policy issues. That is, it has campaigned with governments and parliaments to change the law, to change policy, to change national approaches to issues that our members care about. And there's 3 things I would say about our campaigns. Number 1, and this talks about impact for members, All the campaigns we have run, and I'll talk about a couple of them in a moment, are all chosen by our members. They are approved by our members' representatives, and they're endorsed by our members at our annual general meeting. The Co-op Group in the UK only campaigns on the issues that our members care about and want to see change on. So that's a direct impact for members. The second thing is these campaigns are not just about marketing and media. We use both in the campaigns. They're about changing the entire paradigm set of an issue through new national laws, new national policies, or new approaches by government. And thirdly, and this I think is uniquely cooperative and speaks to the impact we can have, we use all the assets that we have available as a cooperative business. So we use our supply chains, we use our products and services, we use our public profile, our communications channels, our members, our financial resources, our political capital in service of those campaigns. So let me just unpack that a little bit of a can of line just to explain what that looks like. So and why critically I think a cooperative business campaigning on behalf of its members is fundamentally different, and the impact it can have is fundamentally different to what investor-owned businesses can do. So I'll talk to three examples. Firstly, between 2017 and 2021, we campaigned on the rights of slavery survivors in the UK, because from about 2015, slavery survivors in the UK were treated as criminals rather than victims. Now, the first point about that is the reason we did that is our members voted at our 2017 AGM for the Co-op to campaign on this. So part of the value a member got of being the Co-op group was it was asking its Co-op to campaign on the issue of how slavery survivors were being treated in the UK. Part of that campaign, we provided direct financial support to the organisations that cared for and supported slavery survivors. Straight financial support, and as anyone who's worked with charities or third sector organisations know, that's really important. But any business can do that. What we also did, though, is we took profits from certain products and also provided that to those charities and organisations caring for slavery survivors. So our Christmas sandwich in 2018, all the profits from it went to an organisation called Stop the Traffic, who helped slavery survivors. So we were not just giving straight cash. The proceeds of our business were also going to those slavery survivors. And lastly, the Co-op is an organisation that, Co-op Group in the UK, employs about 55,000, 60,000 people. We're a big employer. We also have supply chains who also employ hundreds of thousands of people. The thing that changed the lives of slavery survivors, we found out, was paid, dignified employment. So we established a thing called the Bright Future Cooperative, which was made up of people from our supply chains, other businesses from our supply chains. And what that Bright Future Co-op did was provide permanent jobs for slavery survivors in those businesses. It is the biggest employment program for slavery survivors in the world. We did that because we turned our asset of us as a big employer, and we employed dozens, and our suppliers who joined that cooperative. We used that asset, big business with a big employer and supply chains, to support the campaign and provide dignified employment for slavery survivors. But another campaign we have run since 2018 has been to get governments in the UK to take seriously crime that targets shops, not just our shops, all shops, and the shop workers in them. One of the assets we used in that for our members' benefit, because our members, again, voted for us to do this in 2018, is we've used our media profile to make this an important issue. So I have appeared on just about every single news channel in the UK numerous times, from the BBC to Sky News, talking about this issue. We've invested the time and the profile and the capital we have to make this an issue. The other thing we do is we enable members to become campaigners. And since 2018, about 30,000 members have written to their members of parliament in the UK demanding change. And I know, because I've spoken to successive Home Secretaries in the UK, the reason that they are now changing the law is because of the Co-op member voice and the pressure it put upon them. The final example I'll give is the campaign we're running at present, which is about campaign support cooperative peace builders in the UK and overseas. Again, we are campaigning on that because members in their tens of thousands have told us this is an important thing for them. They want their Co-op to help people who aim to end conflict and build peace. So it's member driven. We are a big business, as I said before, a £12 billion a year business. We have supply chains across the world. We are using those supply chains to build sustainable economies in post-conflict zones. Because if you have a sustainable economy, and critically I would suggest a sustainable cooperative economy, that's the sustainable basis for a sustainable peace. Therefore, as a big business, one of our assets is trade, so let's use it to build peace. I would suggest that no other investor-owned business would do those kind of things. They might do some of them, but they wouldn't do them all. And I think some insights on impact, Ilana, and I'll finish here, hopefully giving you a little bit of time back. First point is, as owners of the co-op, our members have told us what to campaign on. They've told us what they care about, and we have then executed against their wishes. That is a genuine example of the value of being an owner of a co-op and the social value that co-op can create. The second thing is, co-ops, because we're not constrained by shareholder sentiment, can be much braver on controversial issues. And as a result, we can show leadership where other investor-owned businesses would not. We have not had investor-owned businesses in the UK talking about slavery or conflict or retail crime in the way that the co-op group has, because we are accountable to our members, and our members have told us they want this. We're not accountable to shareholders. Thirdly, co-ops, and again, this is about the ownership value that members get. Co-ops can bring together coalitions across sectors and cross business structures that other businesses can't do. We cooperate by how we do our business. Therefore, we can be a convener of campaigns and of stakeholders. And the final point I will make, it's a really important point. We have 7.2 million members in the co-op. Whenever I speak to ministers or members of parliament, I tell them that the 7.2 million members of the co-op have, through our democracy, said this is important. There are 7.2 million voters in the UK who think this is important. That democratic mandate is hugely, hugely compelling for members, for governments when we talk to them. And my final point on impact, on all those, on slavery survivors, on retail crime, on peace and cooperation, I could point to the things that we've changed. But the impact that we have is that we have, I think, increasingly established the co-op group in the UK as not just a big business, but a big business with values, and a big business that will talk to its values and try to change things in line with its values. As a brand exercise, if nothing else, it wasn't a brand exercise, it was about campaigning. But the profile it has given to our co-op and the profile it has given to the ethical credentials of our co-op has had a huge impact on our brand and how people view us. And I think we can only do that because we are a member-owned cooperative. Investor-owned cooperatives can't do it because they're accountable to shareholders. We're accountable to our members, and our members have told us what to do, and we've done it against it. I will pause there, Ilana. Hopefully I've given you a little bit of time back, and that was interesting. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Paul. Definitely worth taking the time to hear about all these various aspects of what the cooperative group is doing. So we've heard about the direct services and empowerment of members from the agricultural cooperative IFFCO, and we've heard about the members' voice and participation in the democracy of the cooperative from the cooperative group. Now let's turn to Kenya, and I would like to invite Mr. Vincent Marangu, Director of Cooperative Banking Division at the Cooperative Bank of Kenya, to tell us about what's going on in your cooperative. Over to you. Thank you so much, Vincent.
Thank you very much, Ilana. I want to appreciate all the speakers before me and ICA particularly for organizing this meeting. Yes, my name is Vincent Marangu, Director in charge of Cooperative Banking Division at Cooperative Bank. We are a cooperative bank based in Kenya. We are the largest cooperative bank in Africa. And we are a bank that is predominantly owned by the cooperative movement. We have been affiliated with the cooperative movement since our foundation in 1968. And all the way to around 2007, we were 100% owned by the cooperatives. But because of the need to scale up and mobilize capital for expansion and also to support further the cooperative movement, the shareholders of the bank agreed to dilute their shareholding to 65%. And today, that 5% of the bank is listed in the Nairobi Securities Exchange. But the bank predominantly is owned by the cooperatives, who are the majority shareholders and contribute significantly to the management and the governance structure of the bank. We have about 5,900 employees, and our total assets as at last year, Q3, we were around 815 billion in cash shillings. We are the third largest bank in Kenya, and we take care of 15 million members of the cooperative movement. If you can go to the next slide. Our vision is to be the dominant bank in Kenya and the region, riding on the unique cooperative model. We focus on the cooperative model in everything that we do, and that is why we have a dedicated business division that takes care of the cooperative business. But we are also a bank that is big in retail and consumer banking, as well as corporate banking. We apply a universal banking model. If you go to the next slide, we have a presence in Kenya and South Sudan with 217 branches, and of course, a number of touch points that we serve our customers. But I think where we have done very well, and for the purpose of this presentation, is the level of integrations that we have achieved with our financial cooperatives, what we call the SACCOs or the credit unions. We have integrated our core banking system and all our periphery systems with our credit unions in Kenya, meaning that members of SACCOs or the credit unions are able to access debit cards, ATM machines, checkbooks, online banking, as well as all the services offered in commercial banks. We're able to facilitate them to manage their diaspora members. Kenya is a country that benefits a lot from diaspora remittances. Most of the Kenyans working in Northern America, in Europe, in Middle East, belong to various SACCOs back home. And when they want to remit those funds, we are facilitated working with a number of international money transfer organizations. We have integrated that and made it possible for our Kenyan SACCOs to be able to receive regular contributions and savings from their members based in outside the country. If you go to the next slide, in terms of our group structure, we have put all our shareholding from cooperatives through a strategic vehicle called the COP Holding Cooperative Society, where all the shareholding of cooperatives is held, the 65%. And then the rest of the shareholders, that 5% that is listed. We have subsidiaries and associates, like the Cooperative Bank of South Sudan. We have a consultancy and bank insurance intermediary. We run the second largest fund management company called CoopTrust Investment in the country. Kingdom Securities is a stock brokerage company. We have another bank that focuses on MSME called Kingdom Bank. And we own almost 30% of the CIC insurance company in Kenya. We have also partnered with the Super Group of South Africa to have a leasing company where we support a lot of our transport cooperatives to access vehicles for the public sector through leasing arrangement. If you go to the next slide, it just emphasizes on our financial inclusion, how we remain competitive. And we do this by just ensuring that we are a bank that covers all sectors of our economy. And that is what is demonstrated in the next slide in terms of a successful universal banking model. I will not go through this, but just to say that we are not just a cooperative bank, but we are a cooperative bank doing banking business across all the segments of the economy. You can go to the next slide. We have had a very good affiliation with our shareholders. We have a shared prosperity model whereby all the money we make from the other sectors, we're able to distribute almost 60% of those funds to the cooperative societies. You will find that we have a dedicated business division where we take care of our SACCOs, of our agriculture cooperatives, of our transport and housing and investment cooperatives. And above all, we have a subsidiary company, which is a consultancy company where we have about 30 consultants trained in various aspects of business advisory services and training, which we offer as free services to the corporate movement, and sometimes at very subsidized rates for complex works. And this helps build the corporate movement in Kenya to make it more competitive, to make it more efficient in terms of how the operations are. So that subsidiary of the bank that is fully financed and capitalized by the bank, as all these consultants who move across the country, working with cooperatives every single day. And we have quarterly touch points, what we call forums and workshops, where we call leaders of various cooperatives, and we're able to tell them about, we bring experts, talk to them about emerging issues in the business, whether it is in agriculture, whether it is in technology, and also regulations and compliance issues. And in doing so, we make these cooperatives become very competitive to the point that in Kenya today, SACCOs or credit unions are giving banks an edge in terms of competition. And therefore, you see that most Kenyans prefer to belong to a SACCO where they get all their financial services. Moving to the next slide, I'll emphasize on a very unique thing on what we did during COVID, and what we have also done during various stages of like during the financial crisis in 2008-9, but more so during COVID. In Kenya, all commercial banks were guided by the central bank that they need to do more retention, and they were prohibited from paying dividends to their shareholders. But our board, through the group managing director, went to the central bank and said a cooperative bank was formed for moments like this when there are crises. And we made a strong case to the Central Bank of Kenya, and we were given the exceptional approval to actually pay dividends to our shareholders, a majority of whom are cooperatives. And we were able to pay dividends in the year 2021, 2022, and even 2020, the entire period of COVID. We paid dividends in excess of $108 million, almost 14 billion Kenya shillings. And that actually cushioned a number of cooperatives during that period, because most cooperatives did not generate a lot of income. Actually, a number of cooperatives survived on the dividends that they were able to be paid by a cooperative bank. And in doing so, we helped them go through a very difficult period. We also supported them because we do also lending to cooperatives. We did a lot of restructuring of the loans that were not performing, and a lot of cost absorption. We contributed directly to the intervention by the government of Kenya by donating almost $1.5 million to the COVID intervention during that period. And also, we made a very critical decision to retain our entire workforce through the crisis. We never did retrenchment, and we were able to reallocate people to other jobs to just go through the crisis. So we never did any retrenchment during that period. So just last year, we have just paid an interim dividend in December of 1 shilling per share, amounting to almost $50 million to the cooperative societies. And the final dividend will be paid this year of another 1 shilling and 50 cents, most probably. So in terms of financial inclusion, if I have to emphasize, we have a number of products and partnerships that we have with our SACCOs. SACCO Link is where we are giving members of cooperatives capabilities to issue Visa branded cards to their members. which they used for payments, for collections, and to access services across our branch network, across our agents. We give them capabilities to scan checks, to issue cards, B2B integration, and just to ensure that we create a one bank, one movement kind of environment. Going towards the end of my presentation, I just emphasize that we have been very conscious in terms of our ESG compliance, in terms of the things we do beyond business. We are priding ourselves as a food and agriculture bank in the country. We have supported government in the reforming the coffee sector in Kenya, where farmers are now able to get fair prices. We are providing what we are calling the direct settlement system for the coffees that is traded in the Nairobi Coffee Exchange today, ensuring that farmers are paid within 5 days. And that revolution has really encouraged a lot of farmers affiliated to coffee cooperatives to go back to coffee farming in Kenya, creating transparency in pricing, transparency in payment, and just making sure that that market is organized. We've done the same to the cotton sector, working with our cooperatives. We have our COP Foundation, where we support students, get school sponsorship. Our COP consultancy has done almost over 3,852 consultancies to the cooperative movement, and ensuring that we support 90% of local sourcing and suppliers, to just ensure that if we have potato cooperatives, for example, we link them with entities like KFC and other fast food entities to ensure that they source all their potatoes from our Kenyan farmers through their cooperatives. And those interventions are making our farmers access markets at fair prices. And that, to us, continue to be a very key focus. We get incentives from partnerships. We, like USAID, before it was abolished, we had an incentive scheme where we got incentives for lending to agriculture, working with entities like Caseli and other players. When we get those incentives, we don't treat it as income. We park that money in the COP Foundation and use that money for capacity building to the cooperative sector. So we don't recognize incentives that we earn through various partnerships as income to our profit and loss books. We use that money to support the cooperative movement. I think by and large, that is all I can emphasize now. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Vincent. Such a broad range of support and resources given in the community. Thank you so much for that. If you have questions, I don't think we're going to have a lot of time for an open question and answer session, but you can please put them in the chat and we'll try to respond in the chat, or if we have time to take one or two, we'll do that. But I want to turn it straight over to Maria Eugenia Perez Zea, the president of Cumeva Business Group in Colombia. Maria.
Bueno, muchísimas gracias. ¿Me están escuchando?
Thank you so much. Can you hear me all right? Thank you so much. I speak on behalf of Cumeva, the Cooperative of Colombian Professionals. I'm honored to represent a group of 270,000 professionals who are associated to our cooperative. I think we can start sharing the slides now. I would like to thank the previous speakers, all the people who are with us in this webinar. It's truly interesting to show what we do in our co-ops. I would like to emphasize that I will refer specifically to one of our services. I will give a general landscape of our organization, but I will focus on the Mutual Solidarity Service, which I will explain briefly. We are a cooperative organization with over 270,000 associates who believe in the power of cooperation. We were born in 1964 on the 4th of March, when a group of medical professionals initially decided to get together after losing one of their co-workers whose family was left without any income. So at that moment, they started a solidary way to protect one another and their families and to build a safer future. We're currently the most important and the largest cooperative in Colombia, and we continue to move forward. If we can go to the next slide, please. Our cooperative business group has 4 areas or 4 business units. One is the financial sector. We have a bank there, it's called Banco Umeva, a fiduciary company called Fiduco Umeva, and a technology company for the financial and fiduciary sector called Conectamos. We also have a protection service, which I will refer to in more depth later on. In health, we have health companies. We have a prepaid medicine or medical insurance company that provides professional services to everyone who purchases the services by joining. We have a specialized company for medical experience services. We provide ambulance services, medical consultation services through digital media. And we also have a technology company devoted to the health sector called Conecta Salud, Conecta Health. And we also have other companies, a foundation, Co-Umeva Foundation, which supports entrepreneurship within our members, aiding the growth of their companies. And a recreational club called Lake House, where we have recreation activities, and it also offers membership services. If we can move on to the next slide, please. I was asked to go deeper into the mutual funds and their meaning within our organization. The history of our Mutual Solidarity Fund, the Valley Medical Cooperative, is born in 1964. In 1967, a collective life insurance policy is built with an insurance company. Back then, we added 120 more members, but it started becoming stronger. So a self-life insurance with reinsurance was built within a mutual that back then had 347 members. That process continued to grow, and by 1975, the cooperative creates the Mutual Solidarity Service, which is perhaps our fundamental cornerstone through which we provide protection to our members, but it also is a cornerstone for the growth of our organization and to construct everything that the business group entails. In 1986, the disaster fund was regulated. This helps during crisis situations for our members, whether they have personal disasters or public disasters, natural disasters, or special circumstances that may require protection. In 1987, we created the mutual funeral service for our members, and then the mutual fund for a funeral aid for death of direct family members of our members as one more service of protection for our members. Between 2011 and 2021, we created the Mutual Unemployment Fund, which is a protection that we provide to our members when they have a meaningful lowering of their income in terms of their professional activities, or when they become unemployed, if they are fired from their jobs, they get monthly payments in order to somehow preserve their well-being while they're unemployed. In 2024, the Mutual Wholesome Wellbeing Fund was created. I will talk about this in greater detail later on, but this is quite an interesting and important protection process for us to help our members in case they get serious disease or truly difficult situations for our older members. Mutuality in numbers for 2025, I'll give you last year's data. We had accounting balances in our debit of $1.144 million. That's what our assets are worth. We have a protected population by December 2025 of over 274,000 members. We have annual income for these funds for $177 million. And we have aids that have been paid only in 2025 for 154 million US dollars, which is a meaningful figure. We also have those $154 million were paid to 107,157 aids that were paid to our members. And we have sufficiency within our mutual fund that amounts to 103.58%, which is an important and meaningful sufficiency that creates safety for our members who can benefit from the fund. Next slide. Let's talk about how or what the mutual fund is and which services it provides. We have $111 million paid to almost 6,500 members as survival insurance, a total insurance that's called the perseverance aid that's paid at an age that the member defines when they enter the cooperative, whether it's 60, 65, or 70 years of age. In 2025, we paid almost 6,500 aids for perseverance for $111 million. We also have an aid that's paid for temporary or partial inability, serious disease. We also have medication aid or urgent hospitalization. And in 2025, $3 million were paid to over 11,000 members for this. We have a death insurance, life insurance that's paid when the member dies accidentally or dies from a disease. $1 million was paid to 157 members. And the funeral assistance that's paid to the family when the member dies or to the member when one of their beneficiary relatives dies, they get paid. Last year, $8 million were paid for this to over 4,700 members. Also, for the unemployment aid, we paid $3 million to just over 7,000 members. This has been really important, and it's part of our mutual, and it's a newer coverage, but it's a great benefit. We also have a health fund through which $5 million have been paid out to 19,200 members with telemedicine services, cancer payments, or the health app that provides wholesome care to our members for them to be covered. for that as well. And the Mutual Wholesome Wellbeing Fund, which was created in 2024, has paid our members for large disabilities, bone fractures, or prolonged care or assistance. And in 2025, 321 members were paid $1 million for this. We consider this mutual fund provides a great service to our members, and it's a different way to protect and to provide insurance for them, since many of these services can be provided in life, or members get those benefits while they're alive, so they can be protected or they can have access to the services directly. Our average monthly income for 2025 within the Mutual Solidarity Fund were $15 million on average, and an average monthly yield of $9 million.
Lo siento mucho, sorry. If I could ask you to please wrap it up in about 1 minute so we can give Thomas a minute to talk about
Sure, I'm about to be done. Okay, our monthly payments, you can see the figures on screen. These are the figures for 2025. I would only go to the next, would like to go to the next slide, which talks about the protection we provided in terms of adjustments during COVID time. You will have access to this presentation as well, but during COVID, we became more flexible in terms of death aid. We increased the medication aid. We increased the number of payments to our members. We provided financial relief to over 62,000 members for more than $7 million. And we paid direct benefits for more than $13 million in credits in order to relieve the financial situation of our members. We additionally recognized death for COVID. We lowered the claim times. We were really efficient and managed to diminish deductibles from sick days, and we had really meaningful impact for unemployment and death aid and so on. We can go on. Our cooperative has important lessons for the future in Colombia. One of them is to driving a regulatory work frame that's updated and aligned to international standards, consolidating mutuality as a strategic complement for social security in our country, and moving towards greater tax equality and strengthening technical management of mutual funds to guarantee more robust management models that are more sustainable and innovative, and that are up to the best global practices within our system. I would leave it there. I think we are a different model, which is innovative in our scale, but it will always be serving the community. And I would like to thank you for the important occasion to talk about our cooperative. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much to you. I think that all of these 4 presentations can really be summed up in that, you know, we say people before profit, but it's not a slogan. I think what we heard from these 4 cases and what we can read in the monitor, both, you know, in the data and in the interviews, really shows that. This really exemplifies that. So I'd like to now turn it over to Thomas Blandil from Smart Cooperative in Belgium, who is the current chair of the ICETT, International Cooperative Entrepreneurship Think Tank. And thank you all for sticking around just a few extra minutes. And Thomas is going to have some words about also where we go from here, the future of the World Cooperative Monitor. So thanks.
Thank you very much, Ilana, and thank you everyone indeed. Thank you, specific thanks to the speakers for all their great testimonies. Thank you very much also, Ilana, for the great moderation. We shouldn't forget it's a complex task sometimes, but thank you very much to do so. I'm not going to take much more of your time. I think we're already 3 minutes over time. So if you allow me still 3 more minutes, then we can wrap it up more or less within time, let's say. I just want to come back on the fact that as we already mentioned, the World Cooperative Monitor has already a long history. The first edition, as Gianluca also pointed out, came out in 2012, the first International Year of the UN Cooperatives, or the first UN International Year of Cooperatives. And so now with the second year of International Year of Cooperatives, we had the privilege, let's say, to release a special edition. The fact that we have this long history means that in the meantime we can look back a little bit. One of the conclusions that I want to highlight, and was also mentioned by Gianluca, is the fact that there's a certain consistency in the cooperatives that are ranked within our WCM. I think Gianluca used the words resilience and stability. Year after year we see more or less the same names of cooperatives coming back in the rankings, and this consistency confirms in fact that despite the numerous crises, global challenges, as well as the local evolutions, at least the larger cooperatives are resistant and very well able to cope with external factors that impact the everyday business. As I said, the 2025 edition was a very special edition in the sense that it does not only contain numerical data, but it features also testimonies of people involved in the day-to-day operations of cooperatives in different economic sectors. I also saw different comments in the for really numerical data, but also look really at the impact on societal level, on economic level, ecological level, and so on. And so this is what we wanted to do already in this edition, to show very explicitly the story behind the numbers. And thanks to the numerous interviews with the cooperators and the work of Rebecca and her team, we were able to share the most remarkable stories behind these figures. And this brings us, let's say, to more or less a turning point. We're post 2025. We're heading for 2035 because, and this is as a side note, you already read and heard that the United Nations declared that after 2012 and 2025, they will hold a year of cooperatives every decade from now on. So we're heading towards 2035. And this means that we're not only on a point where we can bow back on some experience to make a thorough evaluation, but we can also look forward. The next months, we will take the time to determine what the future editions of the WCM, of the World Cooperative Monitor, must look like. Together with the ICA staff and the members of ICETT, we will redetermine the objectives of the Cooperative Monitor, set the methodological scene, and collect inspirational examples of other reporting and statistics on cooperatives in order to come to a renewed format that meets the goals of documenting and, of course, in the end, promoting the impact that our cooperatives have on a global scale. The last couple of weeks, we have already prepared the setting that we need to make for this evaluation. And we even prepared some propositions that we want to discuss within the framework of our Think and Do Tank ICETT. I already posted a link towards the ICETT page of the ICA web pages. And we're going to start this evaluation this next month of February. So thanks to this discussion, thanks to the revision that we're going to make with the members of ICETT, we will be able to make the World Cooperative Monitor an even better strategic communications tool, where economic and societal trends, where impact will be shown of our cooperatives in different sectors and different regions. And so I would like to close with a warm appeal. I already mentioned it again in the chat also. It's a warm appeal. If people want to join us in this evaluation round, be part of the discussions and discussion sessions within the ICETT, please reach out to me, reach out to Joseph, because whatever the new format the WCM will have, we will launch a process towards a renewed document in a cooperative spirit, which implies a large participation of cooperatives, practitioners, in partnership with the research institutions and academics like EURICSE, for instance. And this way, I think we, our beloved Cooperative Monitor, World Cooperative Monitor, can become a global observatory of cooperatives that spans over the next decade towards 2035, and that has to be of use for all of us when we're showing the strength of our movement in front of colleagues, friends, family, loved ones, and so on. So I'd like to thank you again very, very much for your patience, for allowing us to going over time 8 minutes. And I hope we will have your enthusiasm to join us in the discussion and in the reform, let's say, of our World Cooperative Monitor. Back to you, Ilana. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Thomas. Thank you to all of you for participating. Thank you to all of our speakers today. Thank you to ICETT and the ICA and Co-op News, and to our interpreters as well for the Spanish and English interpretation. If you have any questions, there are many, many contacts in the chat. You can write to any of us directly or write to the speakers who presented today. I'm sorry we didn't have more time for discussion and questions, but please do reach out to us at the addresses that you see in the chat. And if you missed any of them, you can always write directly to EURICSE or the ICA, and we'll point you in the right direction to the person of interest. So thank you so much. Again, so lovely to see all of you, and thanks for sticking out a little bit extra. Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.